Welcome back to my channel, guys. Today I'm going to do a review, a 6-month and a 6-month and a 12-month review. So what this is basically is a reflection of my model. This is what the model roughly looks like. And this model is what I run projects through. And so this is a review of how my model performs over time. And this is the 12th, this is the second time I'm doing this. The last one was 12 months ago, and this one is of 6 months ago. Now, something to consider. When this review was done, there was additions to my model, but they were done. This Geek project is the last project that was that I ran through the model before the upgrades were added. So this is still the old version, the 001 version of the model before the first review. But the next iteration after the next 6 months forward, then we will see this review's results of the upgrades that I added to the model. Okay, so what are some of the things that we learned? So looking at the 12-month performance, the things that happened in this time slot, in this 6-month time slot, the performance of those is 20x, and the index is 9x. So that is only a 2x for my work, which I would say is worth it, but I want to do better than that. So that's one of the reasons I keep adding to my model. I want to do better than just a 2x to the index. I want to perform better than just a simple 2x, for my work, for my labor added. But that being said, the major income from this is from one of the things I've learned is that my high convictions are the things that end up being where a lot of my returns come from, such as Luxo is one of my high convictions. It is a project I have not sold. Kadana, a project I am not going to sell for a long period of time. The model is designed specifically for 2 to 5 years. Celsius Network and Polkadot. And keep in mind that this 20x is even with Celsius having performed not so well in the past year, but I still believe it's a strong project. Only time will tell if it will catch up or do well. It was one of the extreme outperformers when during this review, but it has since lagged behind. And but Celsius is a project nonetheless with extremely good fundamentals, and I still believe in it. Now, that being said, so one of the reasons I still did well here, even though my ratio of falses to trues is 6 falses and 7 trues, is because I gave more weight to these good high convictions. Now, Kadena I gave an average weight. Celsius was a big weight already from its previous performance before I ran it through the model. And Polkadot I gave some of the heaviest weight to. But having given the extra weight to my high convictions is one of the reasons I outperformed. If I was to give an equal allocation here, I would have not, if I would have done the same on each project, right? If I would have put, let's say 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, right? If they all were the same, I would have not gotten these good results. In fact, I would have underperformed the index. So it is important to note the results came from having high convictions and putting more into them. Now, that being said, let's look at the 6 months. Now, one of the things I will note is that in the shorter the time span comes, the less accurate I am. My model seems to have no accuracy in the 6-month range. And another thing to note is I expect a similar ratio of trues to falses so far for these models, because it is simply the same model that these ran through. So the results should be pretty similar, even though I am gradually making the model better through time. So that being said, I had 8 falses and 6 trues. And out of all of these, the ones that are high conviction bets are Elrond and Geek. Those are high convictions, meaning I will never sell them for 3 to 5 years. They are something I'm going to hold for the long term, and I will never sell them. And I've only found 2 in out of all these that I am putting in that category. And that being said, So these two were poor performers, like, and what I did is I said false, like if the model predicted that it would be bullish and it was not, or even if it like basically if the model says something that did not happen, so far included, because we were talking about 6 months, so it could become true eventually. But for the 6 months, we'll consider it false if I was bullish and it didn't become bullish. So, all of these, I put this Darwinia as false because I expected it to, I didn't expect it to, or wait, no, that was another one that didn't do as well. Mantra Dow was another one I put as false because it actually outperformed what I expected. I expected it to be roughly average, and it overperformed the index. And then Anchor and Uniland, I expected them to be bullish, and they were. They were my winners, and I actually sold them out. And so I had a 900% profit on each of these. So that is, I put one in and I got 9 out. And so that's 18 right there for those two plays. And when I say one in, that's just the average that I'm putting in is about 0.3%. And so I walked away with, about 2.7% with those, because it's times 9. So that is something to consider. And so I walked away with a big win on those. And I did sell out of all of these as well. And I sold out of these, because I could see that the market was going to have a drop, and I got out before that. Unimex, same thing, but it is true. I got a bullish statement from it, and it went bullish, and so I sold out. Chainlink, I made the prediction that was accurate. I said that it would lose compared to Ethereum. I knew that Ethereum would outperform it, and that is exactly what happened. My model predicted that, and I was exactly right on that to a T. So I said true, and I didn't invest in it because I knew that it would be better to have money in Ethereum. And then Elrond, I was accurate on that prediction as well. I said that it is being overhyped and that it will likely not perform in the short run, and it'll perform in the long run. And I ended up being right on that, and I did since added a significant position of Elrond after, I waited, and so I got, I'm at 25% or 24% profit right now, where I would have only been at 15 if I would have just put it in at the point of this review. So by waiting until it had some pullback, I should have, spotted the bottom better, but I chose to wait to enter because of the point in time happened to be extremely high hype, and I knew it was a good project. It came on my radar, but it was in the middle of hype, and I waited for the pullback and got in at a better price. And then Cardano, I was accurate with that one. I said it actually had extremely strong performance, and I expect, I was right about that. Now it's pulling back in the long run. So it was up here, and now it's starting to lose ground against the index because its hype period is over, and we'll see if it can get that in the future. But roughly speaking, I said that it would start moving until losing ground against the index because there's no reason to own it. And that's what the model said for that. Now, Upfiring is a project I'm holding for the long run, and it is a project that has no liquidity. It's just a small project, extremely high risk, and so I put some amount in there, and so far it's wrong because it hasn't performed well, and there's no liquidity, and etc. It's super small. So I just put that as false. And remember, this is 6 months, so you can't really predict what's going to happen in 6 months. And then Mirror, I put false for Mirror as well because it's underperformed the index, including the income from it, but it is a strong project because I use it. It's something I actually use all the time. So I will keep watching Mirror, and I will keep holding on to those tokens unless I get a significant profit, in which I probably would exit if I got significant profits from Mirror. And finally, Geek is one of my convictions, and that is and it is rough. I put false, even though it is starting to have bullish activity as of when this video is made. And it's almost caught up with the index, meaning performing exactly the same as the index. So, it's catching up to be as if it was an index token or etc. But it's catching up because it's getting a bullish face, but I still put false because I like to be pessimistic on my reviews. I like to have more negative numbers. So, why do I want to review my model and come up with the false statements and the true statements? Why do I come up with these false statements, true statements? because I incorporate them into the Bayes formula math, which says what is the probability of a win, or what is the probability of my model being right, of making a true statement. And when I know that, when I calculate that number and I know how true my model is, I can use it as to plug into the Kelly criterion, and that tells me position size of what position I should take. So these are all math-based things. We use the ROI expected, we use the Bayes formula, and we use Kelly criterion, and I even use the Sharpe ratio. And all of these things I use to invest and make decisions for what size all of this spits out the size that I put in. And so far, the Bayes formula, I will keep it at roughly a 40%. I might even move it to a negative 30%. And it tells me, even with that, when my model runs through something, it says, hey, take a pretty significant position. Considering the odds that I come up with, and I have to divide it by 10 because crypto is extremely undervalued in many cases. But that is the top-down view of that. And I've gone through some of the reviews here personally, and some of the changes, and a lot of the changes that are needed to be done from these are changes that have already been reflected upon from my first review. So all of that being said, what did I take away from this 6-month review / 12-month review? Is long-term, the profits seem to go higher, specifically for the high convictions that I never sell. By holding my high convictions and putting more money into the high convictions, that's where a lot of my results are coming from. And also, modifying these things and, making them better. And another thing is in the short run, the accuracy of everything drops drastically. Like the accuracy of my statements in the short run is unreliable. Like I cannot make accurate statements in the short run, but in the long run, I'm seeing that I can make accurate statements, such as, like if someone keeps delivering or if the teams are strong, etc., you can actually start to see some results. And then finally, the high convictions that I have so far from these 2 time periods. Keep in mind that I have other high convictions besides these, but these are high convictions that I've run through these 2 time periods, is DOT, Celsius, Cardano, Luxo, and eGold, and Geek. And DOT has a 10x, Celsius a 4x, Cardano 15x, Luxo 41x, and these 2 are at 0x from this time period. And I do expect them to do well. Maybe they won't, who knows, but I hold them forever. And these are high convictions that I am never going to sell. All right, guys, I hope you take something away from this. This is, each and every time I do this, it's a learning experience. And in the next 6 months, I'll do another review, and we'll get better. And my model will get better and better. The next 6-month review will have some projects that have the modified model, so it'll be interesting to see how well they do. The first iteration of upgrades to the model, but you can still see, roughly looking at these, you can see that these models were getting better because I continually upgrade my model. It gets better and better and better. I keep adding new and new features. I'm focusing and trying to make the model better. But all right, guys, if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. I aim to not only bring the best content available, but to increase the value over time, to get better at this. That is my goal. All right, guys, see you later.